Get your exercise in,
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another one-on-one. Today, I am going to be talking with RPG Grandma. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. I was on Hungar's show this morning. Hungar the Starvarian, my brother from another mother, and then I got a busy day. Not only is it Friday, which means Burger Day. Hey Mac, how you doing? But I'm going to be hanging out with Max from Legion of Myth as we discuss getting youngsters into the hobby, and then I've got a game at about 6 o'clock our time, yeah, it's been a busy day. I didn't even get my nap, so bear with me if I'm a little slow. Probably not. I'm feeling good. Hope everybody out there is having a great, as Grandma reminded me, Cinco de Mayo. I guess we just lost Max. Sorry, dude. Come on back when you get a chance here, Ish, because it says you're not here. But anyways, so with this show, I try to, get to know my friends just a little bit better and help you plug your channel. Hey, Sean, how you doing? You just started out in the YouTube universe, and I'd be lying if I said anything other than if it wasn't for some great YouTubers out there. Biggest Geek gave me my first break doing live stuff. Of course, Cal Vanoni and Grim to See, they're the ones who told me, hey, do this, go live, start hanging out with these guys. I did. And then Max from Legion of Myth and Bruce Lombardo and Baron from Baron G-Rock and so many other guys out there, liked what they saw with our channel and had us, be part of the community. You don't like the word, give me another one, and so, we're not a big channel, but we're connected enough that I thought, you know what, let's pay it forward, as the kids say, and help out some of our friends, get them a little bit more notice. And like I promised you, Grandma, we're gonna make you famous.
I don't know if I'm ready for that, Shadow.
Hey, you know what? Baby steps. We'll get you there. It's not unless you make that viral video that just explodes all over the place. It takes some work. You got to put in the hours. You got to be yourself and be consistent. And so far I've seen all that, and I knew the moment I met you, I'm like, here's a woman after my own heart. She's got like all kinds of games that probably you and I are the only people on the continent that own still or realize what big parts they played in the hobby getting to where it is. So my first question is always, what got you into the hobby?
Oh, well, let's see. I was a little kid, and most of the kids in my neighborhood were boys. So if you're gonna play with anybody, you got to do boy things first off. But my cousin was really he's like a year younger than me. He was really into war games. Like if anybody was playing a tactical war game, he was, And we were cool. So we all had armies. I had armies. I had 1/72 scale. I had bigger scale armies, plastic armies. We all had armies. His sister had her army. The only cousin that didn't was the one whose dad was in the military. Which is, who knows? And so we would get together and we would have little tactical wars, with our little armies, our cavemen, our cowboys and Indians, whatever we're doing. We would full on play those things too, like back in the day when you could dress up and do cowboy or dress up and do army. Yeah, absolutely. Totally would do that.
I'm still dressing up like a cowboy.
Yeah, the neighborhood thing, the girls were always the Indians, the cavalry always won. But but yeah, we were out there. We were make believe in all this stuff. And one day we were getting together for a family thing, and he brought Dungeons and Dragons. And he may have gotten it from his dad because his dad was ex-military as well. Like one side of the family was ex-military, my side of the family was hippies. So yeah, peace and love, war bad, patriotism over here.
But funny how that works out, though. It's actually uh, proof to the old pudding that opposites do attract.
Yeah.
Been there a million times, and I can attest it is, in fact, a phenomenon that it keeps the species alive.
Yes. And so that first game when we played D&D, we probably did it all wrong. If you could go back in time and have a film of what we were doing, but we had a blast. So then we were all hooked on role playing games. From that moment on, everybody wanted some kind of role playing game. And it took me a while before I could convince my parents to get me Dungeons and Dragons. But my cousin, he was always bringing over a new role playing game. So we had D&D. We did the biplane one. I'm sure we did Boot Hill. I remember there was a cowboy one in there. I mean, so until I got my own stuff, he was the one bringing the stuff, and we had a blast. And then eventually, I got my first D&D. It was not the pamphlets. He had the pamphlets because I know the first thing we did was Temple of Frog. We suffered horribly deaths, but
yeah, that's a toughie.
But there's frogs everywhere, so I'm sure it was Temple of Frog, and this is so long ago. And and then Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came out, collected that, and then I kept adding stuff as the time went on. I know I had like Top Secret 007. I had Traveler when it came out.
Yep.
GURPS at some point picked that up.
Yep, same here.
So
that was a toughie. I'm in a GURPS game tonight. That's the game I'm in tonight is actually GURPS. I bought GURPS back when it first came out, and I couldn't get anybody on board with that one. So we kept playing the stuff we have. I never had Dawn Patrol. I'm working on getting a copy of it. A friend of mine, Angus, who I'm in a game with DM Bloodworth on Tuesdays, he said he'd get me a game, but I think he's in like New Zealand. And you might know him. He actually did some writing for TSR and some other game companies back in the day. And my son's a big World War I, Spanish Civil War kind of guy, and I'm like, we love playing
Dawn Patrol. You got it.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
I was under the impression that it was more of a tactical war game, biplanes as opposed to RPG. But
yeah, it is more of a tactical. It's a tactical game. It definitely is. But you're gonna have a blast with it. I guarantee it.
I got part of my start playing games like Broadside with my old man and doing model kits and things like that. Do you do miniatures? Do you paint? Do you craft? Do you do any of that?
Yeah, I got a ton of unpainted ones like everybody else. Like where you open up a box and go, oh yeah, I remember I bought this. I need to build this. I'm working on I got a few things I'm painting right now. They're collecting dust, but this weekend maybe I can get some work on them.
Get out the paintbrush. It's so cathartic. I actually came across a box this morning when I was talking to Hungar of about 50, maybe 75 pieces of scattered terrain. Like here's a trash can and a pile of garbage.
Right.
Stuff like that. I like it's half finished, and I'm like looking at this other box of half finished stuff. I've probably got over 10,000 miniatures in my collection, but I want to say more than half are stuff from our era, from the 70s, lead miniatures in pristine condition that I'm never going to paint. So I'm like, okay, I can leave that stuff there, but I got all this plastic that I got to get to. And the funny thing is I don't really use it when I game. If, I've got some really good dungeon terrain that this summer with my son and his friends coming over, I am going to set up the dining table with with dungeons and have the kids come over and you know, show them, you know, the best game of D&D they've ever been in, and they'll look back, you know, for years to come as they grow up and move away. They'll always have that, you know, experience of you know, playing a good game with all the bells and whistles, as much RP, you know, role playing as possible. But you know, they're kids. They like that tactile feel
Yeah.
and visual stuff, and so I got a lot of work to get that ready. But you know, there's something about minis, even if you don't use them, that's just it just gets you into the mood, and it lets you, you know, relax, do something creative, and you know, instead of, you know, I've never been able to just sit and watch something and not want to do something with my hands. You got that thing going on?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a fidgeter. I'm the kid that was always in trouble in school for, you know, moving around in the chair and stuff. You know, I would probably they would probably classify me with something as an adult today. You know, if
Thanks,
you know,
Mac. And a friend
but
of yours is in here, Amara
all right.
Fatty. I'm just gonna call you Amara, man, because I'm working on a little bit of fat myself. I got to get rid of thanks to COVID. And yes, I have a lot of pizza and soda to buy, but you know what? It will be worth every penny of it. Um, you know, that's what, you know, my whole life is about, is bringing people into the hobby. And you know, I'm doing a show, like I said, tonight about getting kids into the hobby. And my
Cook,
son got
man.
my son's got a bunch of friends in JROTC with him. Hey, Squirrel. Um, I'll watch you in just a second. You know, so I got to put my money where my mouth is, and I got to, you know, get these kids into the hobby, take advantage of the situation, and not, uh, you know, let this opportunity pass me by. Real quick, Squirrel, I could not find the link in your May 4th video. When it's a short, maybe, you know, there's no description to find the link. So if you could send it to me somehow, I would love to, you know, be educated. So, Grandma, what's your favorite game? All time favorite
Oh,
game?
all time.
You knew I was gonna ask. You knew I was gonna ask.
That's a rough one. Well, I didn't get much opportunity to play Traveler much, and GURPS was hit and miss. It was, you know, who you could talk into it.
Right. And it was with that game. It was all about what genre. I think. You know, what
Yes,
setting are we gonna play? You know,
yes.
if you sell it from that point, I think you'll do just fine. That's how Bo
Um,
got me into playing. Is it Clue?
yeah, well,
Is it
even though
Othello?
D&D is near to my heart, and so, you know, and I'm obviously really like our dude,
Yeah,
simply
Ardo, it
because
is.
all
Wait
the
till you see what
coolness
I got coming.
uh, that that, you know, I borrowed once I had those books, and then it got shelved because we only had the two books at first. Um, I would say Star Frontiers, which is a D100 game.
Hmm. That's a good
I
game. That's a
really,
good,
really
solid
liked
game.
that game because it was easy to teach,
Yeah. You
easy
know,
for people to understand, and just get
I,
going.
I had a
And
brother. Well, I mean, I still do, but now he's in jail. And he had a really bad drug problem. That's why he's in jail and won't be ever getting out. And that was the only game I could ever get him to play. One summer, I was doing everything I could to get him away from the stuff, and we played that game quite a bit. You know, when we were as soon as we were done playing, I'd get right to work. You know, coming up with the next adventure, and he'd go out and, you know, do stuff. And you know, I tried my hardest with that, and it was the only time I ever got to actually play that game. So it's got that kind of bittersweet memory, but it was a solid game. You
it's a
know,
solid game, and there's no support from WotC for it, other than you can get the
mhm,
reprints, but there's still support for it in the RPG community, because there's a fan magazine which you can download for free, all the editions, and they are chock full of stuff, Like where TSR dropped the ball, they just picked it up and ran with it.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about Star Frontiers is one of the things my friend Omen likes the most about it, which is the lower tech setting. When I play sci-fi, I want to go to places that have different tech, whether it be Stone Age to high tech. And he kind of digs that sort of no artificial gravity and a universal tech level throughout the galaxy. And I find that just a little hard to swallow. I've got a whole galaxy to play with. Mind you, if it was a smaller system kind of game, I could get that. But I like throwing in different ups and downs when it comes to that. But it's I've got 2 copies of Star Frontiers, 1 copy of Nighthawks. Most of the modules, I'll go back and maybe pick some of them up this summer because everything's gonna, like I tell everybody, if you're gonna buy games, buy them in the spring and the summer. Start your shopping right after Valentine's Day. Wait until the hotter it gets, the lower the prices get. Okay. If you want to sell stuff on eBay, start selling September 15th through Valentine's Day. Just because Christmas is over, don't think the shopping season for people is over, because a lot of guys wait until after the holidays and it's like, well, I got this much money left, or I'm going to buy myself something because I got crap for Christmas, nothing but ties and cologne and crap. It's like, hey, you guys know I'm a gamer. Give me some frickin' paints, And so I do that, and I've already benefited from it. I picked up a couple of really cool things you can see in the other videos because the prices are coming down.
Right.
And this summer, I'm going on a crazy buying spree of everything I can get. We talked yesterday about used books. I can't buy a used book for less than $5 plus shipping through mail order, and usually it's more like $15 for a single paperback book. And the funny thing is hardbacks are actually cheaper. Nobody wants hardbacks. Buy hardbacks. They last longer. Sure, they may not have, they may be missing the dust cover. So what? You didn't buy it to look at the cover. You bought it to read the book.
Now, if you like Star Frontiers, you might like Frontier Space by DWD.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Our friend DM James, he recommended it, and I'm like, but I've got Star Frontiers. It's got to be vastly different in the way of like setting and content versus rules. The
rules.
Take care of it. Okay, Squirrel's got a great question. I love this question because my answer is so simple. Desert Island, what game would be just fine being stranded with? What's your Desert Island game? You can only bring one game. What would it be?
Oh, if I can only bring one game, what would it be for Desert Island? I would probably, believe it or not, do Star Frontiers because I don't need a whole lot. I only need the 10-sided dice and just even the original box. That's all I need to do something with.
Yep,
it's that easy.
For me, it's Villains and Vigilantes, because in the original book was 47 pages, and then I got the second edition. It's got about 10 extra pages, but I can run any genre with it. I can run Wild West, Conan, Star Frontiers, Magic. I can run literally any game with it. I got to do some work, I'm not going to lie, but that's the game I would bring. And it's a great question because one of our very first prepper videos is about, putting a game in your bug out bag. If you got to bail and you're going to be, somewhere, that's possibly uncomfortable, etc. Imagine you had to go to like a FEMA camp. What a great place to become the most popular person, in the camp, or if you're out camping or, hiding under a bridge or something. Throw a RPG in with your bug out bag. You get an extra copy. Don't put your only copy there,
Right.
And if it's a beat up copy, so what? It's going to get even more beat up. But put that, some dice, along with your, granola bars and all that other good stuff.
Well, the other easy one to do would be something. I have Skate Wizards, but I understand that's based off another game called.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, Skate Wizards. I bought it. it's just it's a crazy little game. It only uses 6-sided dice. It's a pamphlet. That's how small it is. And you're wizards, and you're up in the mountains, and you come down, and it's just a crazy. It's just a crazy, stupid little game. But the game it's based off of that I don't have, I'm really curious about, because
what's it called?
I believe it's Odd is the game it's based off of, but the game I have is
I've never heard of either of those.
Yeah, and so I've got to track down Odd and find more out about it. But what our group's going to play it eventually. It was the first game I got when Watsy started doing weird stuff.
Yeah, definitely throw some dice in that bag there.
So I just was like, I'm gonna get this strange little game because it sounds like fun. And you don't actually die in that. You don't have to die in that game. You can die and become a poser instead of dying, and keep your character. But now you suck. You got instead of a skateboard, you've got a little skatey thing that you push along.
A scooter.
It's an hilarious game. It's
okay.
Obviously
it sounds a little like Kids on Bikes.
Yeah, which, it's something like that. It's hilarious. So that's why
my friends and I actually played. We were playing Beyond the Supernatural, but they had these things called victim games, where it was basically like a one shot. See if you can survive. You make up a mundane, normal character, normal person, and we actually made up some kids, and it turned into a full on campaign that lasted a couple of years. Where this was long before Stranger Things in Erie, Indiana. Anybody out there remember Erie, Indiana? That could have been a great show, and it just got canceled quicker.
Oh yeah. I remember it, and people liked it, and then it was just gone. Yeah. And everyone was like, "What happened?"
Yep. So we had fun with that.
We figured someone got upset at whoever was the writer.
Probably, they probably didn't like the idea of, trashing on Erie, Indiana. But hey, you named your town that, and you thought no one was ever gonna, run with it. And thank you, Amara. I personally, I'm not going anywhere. They tell me to leave, I'm going to point something at them and tell them, no, you leave, because I will not hesitate to use it. I'm not going anywhere. I've spent too much money, too much time, until I get to actually move to where I want to move, which will be Texas. I'm stuck here. I'm not going, because if you think leaving your home, you're going to come back and everything's going to be peachy keen. Oh, no. I guarantee if you had to leave, if you had to leave for like a month, you come back, you're not even going to open your refrigerator. You're going to duct tape it closed, put it out for the trash man, and never see it again, because God, you don't even want it.
The place will be looted. The windows will be broken out. So somebody will start a fire. And
who will be doing that? You know who will be doing that? The guys who are in charge.
Right.
I mean, think about it. They're going to be looking, in their downtime, they're going to be seeing what they can grab. And if you think they're going to let you take your self-defense items to one of those places, yeah. So I'm supposed to leave tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff just sitting there? No, thank you. I know how to live without electricity. I'll be just fine. You know what I mean? Right. And trust me, they don't want, in my neighborhood, they don't want to even try that, because they got to go through like 100 other houses before they get to mine. There'll be like 2 guys left. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, and there are situations where you do have to just run. When we had the firestorms.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I know definitely nothing I can do.
That's what they had to do.
There would be nothing I could do.
In fact, the only reason the people in the area survived is the tree was on fire, and it went down, and it hit their barn. I think is what it hit, but the barn's really close to the house. So big noise, right? So they wake up middle of the night, they look out, and they just see a wall of fire. And so they had to book it and wake up all the neighbors going out. But one of the neighbors didn't make it. She crashed her car, and nobody could get her out, and they had to leave her to burn to death. The car was melting. It was melting on her, and it was horrible. So yeah, sometimes you just gotta run.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly, Sean. Put it together. Get yourself a good couple of waterproof bags, some Ziplocs, whatever. Put that stuff in your duffel or whatever you're going to use, and just get extras and just hope you never ever have to pull it out. Um, and yes, absolutely, Art Bell. I still watch
Yes.
or listen to the old shows, and if you didn't catch that earlier, I do a Saturday evening show. It's called the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen, and I'm the co-host. And we talk. We do our best attempt to honor the late great Art Bell, and we talk all things paranormal, UFOs, Bigfoot, you name it, conspiracies, the whole thing. And it starts while one of my shows is my Saturday show is going on. Nathan does an hour by himself, and then he brings on the regular panel of guests, and we talk that stuff until the wee hours of the morning. He's in Tennessee, and when the show ends, it's midnight here in California. So he's he's a night owl to begin with, so it's okay. But it's a lot of fun, and that's one of my other big hobbies is that stuff. As a matter of fact, I got into it long before gaming, and it's a perfect segue into the next question for you, Grandma. What do you do besides gaming?
What do I do and work besides work and gaming?
Yeah. I mean, do you have any other weird, guilty? I mean, nothing weird. But do you have something that would surprise us that you love to do or study or?
I've been kind of on hiatus from it because of my lungs, but I am getting better every day, so I'll be back to it soon. Which, yay! Taekwondo, I do that.
Okay.
So a lot of times, some of my extra time obviously is taken up with that. The kids are in that as well. Niece and my nephew, my husband. I occasionally judge at competitions.
That's amazing. You're not alone in that sort of activity. So many of my friends, including myself, are big fans of that. It's weird how if you go by the stereotypes, we'd be the last guys into it, but it turns out that a lot of us, not me, but a lot of us were picked on, maybe for the hobby, and then said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go learn some martial arts and put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. And like a lot of us are also into the SCA and or shooting or hunting. I did it too. I could never actually knit myself a suit of chainmail, but Connell, the cigar DM, little does he know he's going to be making the boy and I two chainmail shirts between now and my next birthday.
I've done the Viking thing off and on. Let's see. Did the Mountain Man thing for a little bit, as the chick. Let's see.
We're not going to discuss
black
dating.
Powder. There's black powder at my house. Yeah. Archery. I used to do that a lot. So I've still got my longbows, my English longbows, and shooting. I go shooting.
Good for you. Mac, I can't do a link from this technology, but I will type it out in the chat so you guys can all go over and sub to the show. Nathan's a great guy. Let me move this out of the freaking way.
I'll have to sub to his show too. Chickens. Obviously, I have chickens. That counts as a hobby. When I have the time, I haven't had the time this year really to get the garden, which has me concerned because I'm concerned about our food supply. But I've got to get the garden put back together and get it producing some food. I do that too. Camping when I get the chance. I used to be a whitewater raft guide.
That's awesome. That's terrifying, but awesome.
Now we all die, guys. We just all die. I'm out of shape. Can't do that. But
well, I hope your lungs, get better. There's many of us that have some issues like that in the group. No names, but while I got you here, I'm gonna throw out the invite to get you on the prepping show, which is about the same time as this on Tuesdays. We'll just have to schedule a time because you obviously got it all down. My co-host for that show is Grim to See, but he's been having some issues with backlogs at work. That's why I won't do the show without him. I've done one without him, and I just don't want to do it without him. It was kind of his idea that I do a prepping show because that's a huge passion of mine. I got from my old man who taught me. He was telling me things back in the '70s that were going to happen, and I've seen them all happen. He was telling me about, mostly because he found out from my mom's side, no, not my mom's side, his side, that there's a good chance that one of our relatives was a member of Operation Paperclip. I don't know if I buy that, but it's entirely possible. And he just got, my mind, working. And then, of course, the Travis Walton thing happened when I was a wee lad, and I'm like, this is on the news. They're talking about flying saucers on the freaking news. There's got to be something to this, and so I did that. I'm sure you've done your own exploring into those sort of things. You've got the
if
the
it was up
hippie
to me, there'd be a
background,
bunker in my backyard, but it's not up to me. So,
right?
but
No, I mean the the prepping, and no, I was kind of talking about the paranormal stuff. It seems like
no, gosh, when I was a kid, man, I read everything on Bigfoot. So there's more stuff now, but I just haven't been keeping up on it. But and then of course UFOs, because.
Do you remember when Travis Walton got abducted?
I remember there was quite a few abduction stories. I remember there was the one with the Australian family. So I probably saw it as a kid. Yeah,
I remember watching it on the news. I remember seeing it on the news.
Kids. And right up there with the Pyramid Power commercials.
I know, right?
Pyramid Power has to be in every game. Some way, somehow, I have to put it in a game.
I tend to do that too, because I do actually think there's something to Christopher Dunn's theory that the pyramids are an actual machine. I have this theory that the higher tech you get, like the higher tech levels, the more you would be able to figure out how to just bring the information and technology with you and then make it work with whatever ingredients you found on the next world. Instead of carrying all that machinery with you.
Right. We also vastly, because you're into archaeology, and history and stuff. We also vastly, as a culture, have underestimated what our ancestors were capable of doing and what technology they had, simply because by the time we're around, that stuff's gone. It's fallen in disrepair, been chopped up and turned into something else, melted down. And so then we think, everybody was less advanced, and because they weren't doing the same stuff with the technology that we're doing. So
I think the
Greeks had steam engines, for God's sakes. They just weren't using it the way we did.
Right. There's two. I figure there's two possibilities. Either they, this advanced civilization that we call our own is not the first, and they did things differently, and when they got wiped out or whatever, we came about it a different way. And if that's possible, this could be the fifth, the sixth, the seventh great civilization on this planet, or we did in fact get help.
Yeah, and you look at the timeline, and it keeps getting pushed back further and further for modern humans all around the world, or and some of our other relatives, and
Six Nations.
So they're still learning a lot, and in the process of learning, there's always what they call archaeological anomalies, and these are things they can't explain, so they don't talk about it in history class. It just comes right down to it. But it doesn't mean that they're hoaxes. They just can't figure it out. And so because it falls outside of the current theories, accepted consensus.
Which I absolutely despise. But if you're all going to vote.
It's very hard for that information to come forward. And then when it does, there's so much politics around it. It's crazy. But you can find out about it and keep it in the back of your mind as an anthropologist or archaeologist or historian. You just, you have to be careful with how you bring it forward, or if you can even bring it forward.
Yep.
Sadly,
You don't get to vote on science.
no.
It's not
There's a
consensus. It's
cancel
a
culture
fact or
involved
it's not.
there.
Yeah, and and the funny thing is when they do stuff like that, they don't realize that they don't necessarily make martyrs, but they only reinforce the fact that we know they're not telling us the truth.
Right.
The
right.
more they say, oh no, that's not what that is, the more people, the tighter they clench their fists, the more systems fall through their hands. There's all kinds of weird crap that we can't explain. Why don't we try?
Yeah, that's the whole point of science. Let's figure it out. Go Scooby Doo it.
So, right. Scooby Doo it. That's great.
So.
Right, Mac.
Yeah, so I was into all that stuff younger, and I still use it. Like people go, why they always ask me why I like History Channel, with the some of the shows. I go, because it's
ancient
RPG
aliens.
gold.
I know my son doesn't get it. Well, Jesus, an alien, because he's a big time Catholic, so he thinks that's just pure blasphemy, and I'm like,
it's just fun.
Exactly. There's so much RPG gold, like you said, in that show and other shows like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't just play, fantasy games. Yeah. I play sci-fi. I'm getting ready to run a Western. And if you think I'm not going to throw some ghosts and some Tommyknockers and, some other stuff in there, you are sorely mistaken and in for a hell of a shock.
Want to do a post-World War II, after the fall of Nazi Germany thing? You go watch the History Channel and you get all the conspiracy theories, and you're like, okay, now how can I apply this?
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Let's do an underground base in Antarctica.
Hey, I'm doing that one. I'm actually going to run through Amazing Adventures once I learn the system. I'm going to be running a game. It's called Nazi Dinosaur Cults of Antarctica.
Perfect.
And I'm throwing everything. Exactly. I'm going to hit all the bases with that one.
That's awesome.
Hulk, Indiana Jones, Antarctica, aliens, center of the earth, dinosaurs. Yeah, I mean, come on. It's like a no-brainer. I'm just throwing every trope I can throw into one big cauldron and just stirring it up.
And when in doubt, watch some Japanese old school monster movies. Because only Japan had the backbone and vision to put robots, giant monsters, space aliens, fairy ladies, little fairy people, and underground sunken cities and civilizations all in one movie.
Right. Squirrel, sorry. Squirrel, over on the Nathan Allen show, I am the skeptic of the show. As wide-eyed and bushy-tailed as I might be sometimes, and enthusiastic, my previous PI experience taught me you don't believe anything until you have proof.
That's right.
And I don't have any proof, until I shoot an alien in my backyard and drag him into, the garage or something. I don't know. Diddly, bupkis, big fat goose egg. I have some ideas. I have some hopes and dreams, but I don't know squat until I it's in my hot little hands type of thing. And absolutely, Mac, I learned decades ago that they do not want you. And the weirdest part about their whole,
you get excommunicated. It's religion, man.
It's like, what is there to lose? What is the big secret? What are you hiding? Because that's what it all comes down to at this point. They're either hiding something or they have something to lose. And the only people who have anything to lose are people who are dead and came up with these theories and these, this dogma of this is how it is. Well, those guys are all dead. So what do you care? So you made a mistake. You followed the wrong guy's advice and teaching, and now you can learn new stuff.
Well, there's
clearly
almost like a charisma cult to what shouldn't be happening in those fields, but there almost is. Because like when I was a kid, we actually had a family friend who was an archaeologist, and he gave me a book on the Maya that was in at the time. Nice big pictures, all that good stuff. So I read up all the Mayans, and but I was reading the book, and I'm a kid, and and the guy's theory that everybody was like, "Oh, you are the one," right? In
Yep.
all the college campuses, was that it was all allegorical. The pictures and stuff from Mesoamerica where they're sacrificing people. They weren't really sacrificing people. That didn't really happen. And I'm going, no, man,
That's a
they
little.
were really ripping people's hearts out.
Yeah, there's a reason why too. There's a real simple reason why.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're getting it wrong,
Adrenochrome.
dude. But he wanted to believe that the Maya back then were like the Maya today. And right?
Let's hope to
And
God they're not. Let's hope to God they're not,
right.
because that would explain where all the missing people go.
Right.
Because don't even get me started on that.
But you know, because all the Maya he were around were like these really, they were just really nice people, and they would never sacrifice anybody, right? So he went with this whole thing, and of course, all the academia ate it up. But it has since been disproven. They finally had to consent that he was wrong, you know, and it's that way with a lot of things. It's that way with physical anthropology. Like when I took physical anthropology, they were just starting to talk about maybe Neanderthals interbred with humans, and they totally did. And my teacher's like, they didn't. They would have been, and even if they did, everybody would have been sterile. There's none of these traits. I go, but we're reading the traits. I said, I know somebody with a rolling gait. I know somebody who has a barrel chest. I know somebody who had extra large canines, and they have a simian hand mark. Those are all traits. They have a simian hand. It's all traits of being that Neanderthals have. I said they did. You guys are in denial. And many years later, genetics has proved me correct. But they're in denial. And I do know somebody who has all those traits. And
do you give him a hard time for it?
Oh yeah, well, he was in the class too, so we were joking about it. But if I put him in a group of people, like 1,000 people, and they're all dressed the same, and you have them marching at a distance, you can still pick him out because his gait is so uniquely different than everybody else's.
Yeah, I've known people like that too, and we gave them, a ration of.
But it is
right.
skeletal. Yeah.
Real quick, I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just want to answer some of the guys in the chat. Amara, yeah, they've said numerous times that they don't know, and let's build a couple of giant telescopes and see what's out there. I love this
God
one.
Can do. I mean, right. Seriously.
Do you really think God was entertained enough with just one planet? Personally, I think God's pretty bored, and that's why he made everything in the first place. So there's probably all kinds of cool stuff out there waiting for us to get to. The Yamaguchi, I think it's called, structures. Oh, those things, cool. That terrifies me. I would love to see them, but only on a screen, because I'm not going down that deep in the water.
And the sea level used to be at a different level.
Exactly.
That's
exactly all it is.
Up and down. There's been ice sheets from Europe to North America. On the Atlantic side, people don't get that. So the sea level's gone up and down through the ages. Temperature of the planet's been way hotter than it is currently. I hate to tell the climate people. There's stuff. There's like stuff that when things go down, when the ocean sinks a little bit around, say, Britain and the islands, they start seeing stuff again. There's structures all over Brazil that's submerged by the ocean. Yeah. There's whole cities, for God's sakes, off of coasts that they're finding.
And they don't want to admit it because that would mess with their climate cult, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, well, archaeologists are talking about it because they're going down there and looking at it, because they're finding ancient Egyptian stuff. They're finding prehistoric stuff. I
totally agree, Squirrel. Heck, the they found Egyptian hieroglyphs and artifacts in the Grand Canyon. And then, of course, that disappeared, and
Yeah, that just
the
got
Smithsonian,
disappeared.
the Smithsonian covered that stuff up right quick.
Well, and
Which,
there
can you
was,
imagine what they've got hidden in their
oh, the
in their
Smithsonian did an incredible amount of damage to our archaeological history here in North America. They went in and they plundered areas, and then they literally bulldozed whole cities. They literally had it
Yep.
all plowed under, all the structures, because not everything's built with stone.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff was earthworks, and so you can only go and look at pictures and drawings of what used to be there. And most people don't even know they're driving over the tallest pyramid in North America. There's a
Yeah.
freeway in the United States that goes over it. They don't
Yeah.
even know. It just looks like a hill to them.
Yep.
That when they're up there and there's all these little hills, that's a city. They're in the middle of a city that
Yep.
once existed.
Right. Six Nations, with the whole Aztec thing. It probably goes back farther than that, but when they were making those sacrifices and drinking that blood, the adrenochrome reaction was getting them high and doing the other things, and that's why they kept doing it, because they knew that their victims were terrified. Well, they didn't know scientifically, but their victims became terrified. That created the adrenochrome process. Then they drank the blood after the sacrifice. They get high off that, and the other potential, I don't know about the life extending properties, but it's terrifying. And
And
if
that
you
ball
ever,
court culture went all the way up into Florida.
yep,
It went through the Southwest all the way up into Florida. The ball courts were built with different stuff depending on the area, which makes sense. So if it's better to build with clay and mud, that's what you did versus stone. But yeah, and that's why you look at like the mound builder stuff, and you'll be like,
mm-hmm.
well, that kind of looks like the Mesoamerica stuff. There's a
Well,
reason.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
there are no coincidences. And this one, Amara, what is the position on lunar quartz structures? I read that was one of China's inspirations to get the jade rabbit up there. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, but I want to know more. So look me up on Discord, Shadow and Sun, just like you see it here, and then I'll get you the number or whatever. That sounds fascinating. And Six Nations says there's a 14th century rabbi that used Kabbalah to discover higher dimensions that current science has proven mathematically. The natural, supernatural, and unexplained all go hand in hand. Absolutely. And
yeah.
It's amazing how us gamers, all of the people that are into this are into the other thing. It seems, I don't know, sometimes one thing came first. Like with me, it was UFOs, then gaming. But a lot of gamers, the good gamers, the serious gamers who make this part of their, their life and their lifestyle, I suppose, eventually come down this road. Maybe they'll turn away from it, but there's so many of you great guys and gals out there. Just it's all part of the same big, desire for more knowledge, more experiences that we can't get with our regular 9-to-5 jobs and lives, that we get to instead of having other interests and things like that, like sports and things like that, although I do a fair amount of sports myself, but not lately because of the right. Yeah, but all this stuff just goes hand in hand. And right, geomancy and ley lines, perhaps.
Well, yeah, the planet
there
has its own magnetic field system. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It does what it does.
Right, exactly. And like you said earlier, it's great, great inspiration for our games. I guarantee the games that are being run by the people that are interested in all this stuff and do other things besides just, buy the next Wizards of the Coast product, and shovel that stuff into their system, probably run much more interesting games because of the other interests and hobbies.
Well, oh yeah. But what we got going now unfortunately is like a really sugaring down of the creativity.
Yeah.
For you know, in an attempt to be politically correct, modern politically correct.
Well,
The
not just
problem is,
politically correct, but easier to digest by the normies.
right, you know,
They're pandering to the lowest common
right,
denominator,
and
and that
they're
was
not
never what it was meant to be.
well, and linguistically they're dumbing it down, and make
Absolutely.
and they shouldn't be doing that. I mean, look, a bunch of kids got together, taking their old pamphlets, you know, the hard to understand version of D&D, you know,
It
bad
was never
editing.
hard to understand. I
Well,
rail against that notion. It was never hard to
I
understand.
don't think it was hard. It's just that we figured out. We didn't have any adults telling us how to play the game. We sat there, we figured it out. If there was a word we didn't know, um, you know what we
You got
did?
a
We went and got
dictionary?
a dictionary.
Yeah.
You know, and we looked it up, you know, and we're like, oh, that's what that means, you know,
Yep.
and that is how you and then when the formulas got introduced later on and you get more complicated math, you know, we learned
Yep.
about it. We
Yep.
weren't afraid because we were having fun, you
Yeah, I was
know.
actually a really poor student in school. I just didn't care, you know. Um, for whatever reason, I was a bad student. And then Dungeons and Dragons came along, and my grades went from C's and D's to A's and B's in the course of, you know, a year and a half, 2 years, you know.
Because you're doing your own
And
research. You're like, I got to know more about this thing that's in this book
right.
that I just read. So I got to go down to the library and check out a book on those kind of things, you know, and read it, you
Yeah.
know. I'm going to go read
Normie
this
equals
book for
muggle.
fun. It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
dragons, you know.
Reading are hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
What form
Yeah.
of witchcraft? What form of dictionary? What form of witchcraft is that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a sacred tome of infinite knowledge.
Yeah. And pretty soon you're reading words that you weren't even looking up. You're like, hey guys, you know what?
Yeah, I'm old. I'm listening to my reading on my phone now. I
Yeah,
do
I've had
too.
to do
I don't
that.
know. I can't read for more than 15 minutes before I'm asleep. You know, I
Yeah.
got some reading glasses. I can see fine. You know, maybe it's because I'm reading while I'm laying down and I'm old. But yeah, I cannot read a good book without just zonking out, and
It's
it's
because we're getting
bumming me
older.
out because I've got a stack of books that I need to read. Plus, I want to reread every single one of my books one more time before I leave this world, which should give
Okay.
me another 20 years if I can keep that up. You know, in
Did you
every book
read
I had.
Gore?
No, I didn't.
You didn't
I'm
read
getting
any of the
ready
Gore
to.
books?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
And I never gave it much thought until someone started talking about it. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Okay, I got to
Well,
give this a whirl. Just
they are
curiosity.
they were written by a professor who was all upset about feminism. So we'll just start there. But
Okay.
yeah, it's an alternate planet. You know, it's a planet in the same solar system as Earth, I think, and then I think they're like supposed to be in that rotation where they can't see each other.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how you can get from Earth to Gore at a certain point in time or something, if I remember right. But yeah, it's super chauvinistic. There's no getting around it, but it's got some cool ideas. I still think Edgar Rice Burroughs was a better writer.
Oh,
But
he was one of the absolute best. It's so
it's
underrated compared, in our
it's
community,
fun.
like Tolkien and Howard get all the glory, and Lovecraft. And I'm like, those guys would have been nothing without Burroughs, you
Well,
know?
Burroughs gets slammed a lot, and I don't really understand why. Um, he often was using the scientific theory of the time. Whether you like the theory or not, it's irrelevant. He was trying to bring in that science.
Yep.
He clearly had a sense of humor. I mean, when he did the book on Mars with the one city state, I can't remember the name of the book, but anyway, the city state where they're religious, super religious, and their religion is completely different from everybody else's. And so everybody else believes in the globe. They're a flat, they're a flat Mars. And so they're exploring this. They're doing whatever they're doing there. Our heroes, and the place is totally crazy. And and he was poking fun at people who blindly follow religion, that don't,
Mhm.
doesn't matter what is happening that says different. They're like, nope, nope, that's not in my book, so it doesn't exist. And I know exactly what he was doing. He was poking fun at that inability to retain your faith and realize that maybe your beliefs are incorrect on some things, like the nature of the planet. you know,
Mhm.
and
Real quick,
correct. Yeah.
what does this mean there, Mac? That's the sign of a polymath. It says, or ADHD. I'm not sure what that means in reference to the conversation. And mages, I used to have that problem with the mind racing and not being able to focus on a book until I got to a certain age, and then I can't wait to read and just, you know, turn everything else off and just get, absorbed into it. You just got too many, fires going or too many things on your plate to do that. Maybe, you know, lock yourself away to get that reading done.
Or
And again, I
check it
also
out
don't know
on
what
an
this
audio
means.
book and listening to it in the car when you're driving. That's what I have to do now.
Yes, Edgar Rice Burroughs is
Yeah.
is fast becoming one of my favorite authors. Of course, my favorite author of all time is Roger Zelazny, not just because he was a friend of mine, but because his writing style has just got so much class and humor and all the old school things that I loved. You can't read one of his books without wanting to light up a cigarette, even if you're a non-smoker. And of course, he died of cancer. Uh, but he died doing what he loved, and he gave us so many great books. I mean,
Yeah.
most of these guys did. Burroughs,
So many
Carter,
good. There's
Lovecraft.
so many good. Yeah, there's so many good authors, and what I find totally disturbing is that they're now going to go back and change the language in some of the books.
I
It's
Not in
just,
my library.
I mean, but you know what
Not
I'm
in my
saying? For
library.
future generations, they're going to get the lame version of the story.
That's
The totally lame
Fahrenheit
version.
450, 451, is it? That's going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
They're going to come after your books if you think otherwise. I just saw a video yesterday how I think it's Paramount or Warner Brothers is now deleting your digital copies of things that you purchased. You buy, if you think you bought a digital copy, and if you think that they didn't write in the code where all they have to do is just press a button and they all just get deleted, so you have to buy it again, you are a, a sucker.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I have stuff on digital, obviously, but I also have a lot of the same stuff on DVD.
I'm sorry to hear that, Mages. Get that checked out, man. Maybe there's something going on with you.
Yeah.
Reading is an absolute blessing in all its forms, and
And if you've gotten
I,
COVID, you're going to, I don't know who has and hasn't, it messes with your neurology and your ability to focus severely for quite a while. I know I caught it, so I can say, yeah, it was horrible. And I had to work coming right off of it. It was terrible. And
yeah,
half my
my
department
family.
was like, I can't think.
My son and I were lucky. We didn't get it. And his
Stay that
mom,
way. You
his
don't
mom,
want to.
not only does his mom have lupus, but she got every single shot and booster, etc. And she got it like twice, and we didn't get it even once, and we refused the shots, refused
Yeah,
all that.
I ended up getting the shots, and then I caught it anyway. And I had when COVID hit, I had caught a different deadly virus because I got to be different. So I was in quarantine before the rest of the state. My area, my business, where I work, all that went into lockdown. The whole county went into lockdown. I was already in quarantine uh, from a highly contagious thing, but the hospitals were already full of COVID people. So they were like, well, we're sending you home with 108-degree temperature and try not to die. Here's a few things we'll try to give you. And I didn't have any of the support that I had when I had got COVID later. But yeah, I got the shots. My husband has the bone cancer. Was trying not to give him, because I had to come back to work. And the viruses that come through here are insane. So
well, you live in a petri dish of children. So
yes. Yeah. They're all outbreak monkeys. That's all you need to understand. They're all outbreak monkeys. Every last one of them.
When my son was in K
go
through
back and
6.
forth between countries. So that means that there's always something from another country coming in.
Hey, Six Nations, I would love to read more about this because, I studied both authors and all of their stuff, and I've never heard this particular stuff. Wow, yeah, I would definitely like to. If you can find a way to send that to me, hook up with me on either Facebook or Discord. Yeah, guys, get your stuff, physical media.
Crowley
L. Ron Hubbard.
Interesting subject.
Yeah. And L. Ron Hubbard, I don't really have much of an opinion.
Look, Crowley thought L. Ron was dangerous. That's all you kind of need to know.
I thought Crowley
wrote.
I thought they lived in different periods of time.
No, Crowley. There's some overlap in the timelines. Okay. It seems to me it was Crowley. He was just older and he was worried about Hubbard.
Okay, that makes sense.
I could be thinking of somebody else. I'll have to go look now.
Right. I mean, all I know about him is that he wrote Dianetics over the course of a weekend with an 8-ball of cocaine and became famous. That's two interesting things you mentioned, Six Nations, without sharing book titles. I'm dying here. I know. I need to read this exactly back. So make with the book titles. I didn't know there was a movie. I remember reading the book when I was about 19 or so. Actually, Battlefield Earth is a series of 10 books. I knew a guy who was very much into them, and the author is a regular in the occult circles. I'll find the mini SD card I got stashed away. Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I didn't like the movie very much. That's all I can say.
Yeah, see, I thought Crowley passed away like over 100 years ago, but I could be off by 50 or so years.
Yeah, I'll have to go look too. But I just remember somebody who was like, everybody always like, oh, that person, blah blah blah. And when
I knew this too,
saying Hubbard's dangerous, you go, whoa.
Right, and I know Hubbard said you want to get famous, make your own religion, and which he did, and people fell for it. I'm not saying that there's no truth whatsoever to it, but I've yet to find any of it. I haven't studied much of it, so who knows? It seems kind of weird when you hear, some of the secrets about that religion. And young Lovecraft got scary, raw info feed in his dreams. Crowley was trained through his magical studies. I can see it. Oh, hey, Raven, long time no see. Raven is one of our regular guests on the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen. Hey, Raven, I still haven't gotten a package. I'm starting to wonder about you. She's sending me some crystals so I can do my own experimentation with them, and I'm a hopeful skeptic, and I'm hoping that I could do some experimentation with them. I'd love to be able to carry around some magical rocks that give me magical powers. So let's do this the scientific way and see what's up. I have no I'm going to keep an open mind. Let's put it that way. But Raven's a great lady. She's got her own radio station. Go ahead and plug yourself there, Raven. Get some of the guys to come check you out and hear what you got going on. I need to actually free up some time to watch, listen to her shows as well. I got so much crap on my plate. Um, by the way, Grandma, I really appreciate you coming on the show. This is so much fun getting to know some of my favorite YouTubers like this, and hopefully some of my regular friends out there will all sub. If you don't get at least 8 new subs by the time the night's over, I'll be disappointed. We got 8 people watching.
Well, some of them might already be subs though, so
right, that's true. That's true. Well, you never know how many lurkers are out there.
I only got 7 people's names. YouTube only lets me see some of y'all.
Probably died in 47. That makes sense. So there's a possibility. I'm just giving you a hard time, Raven. You missed my birthday, and that would have been awesome. But it's cool. I mean, we just met, a couple of months ago. I'm not gonna, run you over the coals, so to speak. Hubbard from 1911 to 1986. Okay, so there was plenty of time for that crossover. I was a little off. No worries, no worries. I want to say the book is Magical Revival by Kenneth Grant. Dang it, here I am without my notebook. I'm telling you, Raven, when you do these shows, Grandma, when you do these shows, Raven too, when you do these shows, have a notebook handy to write notes.
Revival by who?
It'll be there for a moment. I won't let it fade away. I don't have to write on a napkin. Okay, that's all I got. I got pens, but let me use a real napkin, one that's not all covered in paint, right?
106.
Okay, where to go?
Yeah, I gotta watch the time.
Right.
I'm watching the clock. But yeah, it seems to me, or maybe he was corresponding with the lodge that Crowley started. But I know there was some kind of connection there. I remember reading about it, going, "Oh wow, yeah, you're scaring the occultists. That's not good." So but I think they may have communicated.
Nothing surprises me anymore. Well, I mean, there's a couple of things, but it's usually bad things. But yeah. Oh, Mark Heath's another great one. Yeah, that guy's he's a trip. I'm just gonna put it that way. I definitely can't wait to get him on the show. He's another paranormal guy I'm gonna do a show with, but I'm gonna actually be teaching him how to up his painting game. She's being crushed by the weight of the guilt. Oh, come on, Raven. It's not that heavy.
On paranormal stuff, they actually brought in a paranormal team at the Aerospace Museum down the road. And
really?
I was there that evening. Yeah, I was volunteering there. That I was one of the people watching, making sure the displays and everything weren't getting messed up. Yeah, well, you know what? They picked some stuff up on their little recorder that there's no way they could have known and no way they could have forged. In one of the airplanes. Yeah.
And Mage's Musing says he's subbed, and if you guys aren't subbed to Mage's Musing, what are you doing with your life? Mage's has got one of the most charming channels out there. What he does is amazing. And as a matter of fact, my son is he's been wanting to make some puppets for a while. I keep telling him to go check out your channel. Maybe you can give him some advice on how to make some puppets, because he's doing this project, and one of the creatures, the only way he can do it is with a puppet.
Oh, Raven's crushed by the weight of guilt.
Holy shnikes. That expensive old. Oh, really? Is it? Of course it is, right? And Raven, I didn't want to send you a box of crystals without also sending the names and explanations of what they're commonly used for. And I'm almost done with the write-ups. No worries, Raven.
Crystals are cool.
I believe I'm supposed to time it with the charge them up with the full moon kind of thing. So, even if I get them today, I think I'm going to have to work around my schedule to, you had yours made? Oh, don't let out the secret. You should have just kept this. Dude, the great magician never reveals crap like that.
Hey, just don't use
But
smoky quartz for radiation. That's my smoky quartz is actually radioactive, so it's not going to stop radiation from your computer monitor. People were doing that.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
I
going to
didn't know
add
that.
to your radiation. It's not bad, but if you're trying to get rid of radiation, it's
Okay, Sean.
counterproductive.
Okay.
Got to know some science on those rocks. Yeah.
Science, I'm okay with. It's the math that eludes me, which is funny because you know, I still made it through high school, but and some college, but yeah, my math. A friend of mine was sending me this algebraic thing that had to do with his theory of the universe and role playing games and stuff, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, huh? Just
Yeah,
feeling like
yeah, yeah.
retarded, I
No, don't
guess.
feel bad. Don't feel bad. There's a lot of teachers who can't do math either. So, I know. I've given them quizzes. You've been like, you don't know how to teach this class. So
Math's not my strong suit,
there's nothing bad about recognizing, like I have things that I'm not good at. Everybody does. It's okay.
Yeah, we can't all be, experts at everything. That's one of the great things about our species is yeah, very. And, knowing what you're good at and playing on your strengths is what it's all about. Especially with gaming, you were mentioning, hiking and things like that.
Yep. I'm hoping to take the current play group into a gold mine
See?
this summer.
And it's exactly that kind of, you've done these things so you can, when you DM, which, it's one of these days, if I'm real lucky, I'll get to be in one of your games. You've got to know this stuff, you've got to have had those experiences to be able to narrate for the players. I know a lot of people don't care about the trees and the journey to the dungeon type of thing, but you know what? Without a little bit of it, you're missing, a good chance to let the players maybe decide whether or not they're really into that or not. If you just hand wave, okay, you're at the dungeon, you missed out on a lot of opportunities, a lot of practice for your own skills, and you never know. Maybe there's one player who's gonna, get into it. I've never been to, I was talking the other night, I know some people who've never seen the ocean. Okay. Can you imagine what it must be like the first time seeing it?
It's cool
and terrifying.
Yeah.
Here's a fun thing to do with your kids: put some alcohol. Hold on, in a clear glass. Use the UV lamp to illuminate drops in some turmeric. The turmeric will fluoresce yellow. Okay. Hold on. John, welcome to the show. I just looked at RPG Grandma's YouTube channel. Has a lot of videos on AD&D, including 2E psionics. Looks cool. Yes. And Raven said earlier, not this full moon, so it's a good thing you don't have them. The crazy eclipse energy right now is something you don't want your crystals to hold. Okay, good to know. I have to go.
I have to go clock on and get back to work.
Okay, no worries. We went a little later than normal. Everybody likes to do an hour, but Grandma, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Everybody else, thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you, everybody.
I appreciate it. I can't wait to hang out with you again. You're always welcome on the show. Have a great weekend. We love you guys. I'm going to say adios as well. I will see everybody later on tonight, tomorrow, the next day. You know me, I'm addicted to the internet. So have a great weekend and happy trails.
Happy trails.